It's the Revved Up Sports Show with Bobby Chaffee.
We do have this nice little format that we try to follow every week. We don't usually follow it.
And Rodney Rodriguez.
Entertain me. Tell me something. I need to know something other than what I'm seeing.
Y'all ready? All right, here we go. Here's Bobby and Rodney.
Okie dokie, friends. It is National Texas Day. And that ain't no lie, man. I really saw that. That is a real deal. And of course, this is hashtag Real Race Talk from Texas. This is the place. This is the Texas Racing Show. The Revved Up Sports Show. Showtime Bobby Chaffee is down south. Rodney Rodriguez up north. And as we pop you in, you see we are joined by Gina Shile Knowles. You see her face popped up there. We're going to talk with her here in mere minutes. Bobby, how you doing, man?
Just another day in paradise, boss. Trying to get some pre-birthday stuff done. Ran some errands this afternoon. So just trying to have a nice, relaxing day as I cruise into the birthday tomorrow.
Another year for Robert Chaffee. You hear the breaking news there. We do the short breaking news thing all the time, but I'll tell you, it's like, almost said it's like a virus spreading, but we'll figure another way to word this. Gina, how are you, my friend? Stressed a bit?
Just a tad, but in a good way. In a good way. Happy birthday, early birthday, Bobby.
Well, thank you.
You turning 30?
30 and then a couple just a tick. So yeah, I'm not a day over 32 is what they told me when I was in Pensacola.
Was that before or after the beer?
That was amongst it. So I took that as a compliment.
30 and some change, my friend. 30 and some change. I always call it. Yeah, you get better as you go, man. You get better as you go. But
hey, the 30s are good. The 30s are good, Bobby.
Yeah,
that's
dude.
good.
Yeah, they're really good. And then you get up to my age, man, and it's like I was telling somebody the other day. I'm like, man, I'm about to turn whatever age, and man, I feel great. I live a horrible lifestyle, but I feel great.
That's not true. I see you riding and doing all the cycle stuff.
Well, and honestly, Gina, because a lot of folks have asked me about that, and really what that is, it's calories in, calories out. And it's my little friend right here in this koozie that seems to cause a problem. But anyway, all right, here we go. So let's quit beating around the bush here. I know people are like, we don't care what y'all are doing here. We don't care about your bad lifestyle and any of this. So, Gina, I'd say, is it true? But I saw the flyer. Let's talk. What have you gotten yourself into now, my friend?
Isn't that the truth? No, we had kind of let out. Was it a few weeks ago that we were looking at Mobile, and we finally came to an agreement with Miss Ida, and we will be taking over the facility. Well, actually, we got the keys. We met her this weekend and did everything, signed everything, and we'll be racing this year there. A limited schedule, and we won't start until summer because we got a lot of work to do in between.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So it's done. I have a schedule put together. We're not releasing it just yet because there's a few things to tweak on the classes. I'm kind of gathering information on some other things and still packaging it up and selling it to some sponsors too. But we'll have little things coming out all week.
Awesome.
I'm excited. I really am. The track is beautiful. She needs a little polishing up, and man, though the racers over there excited. I'm looking forward to the challenge. Mm-hmm. My poor husband, he is too.
Right. Sorry, Bobby. Go ahead, man.
No, that's all right. So, Gina, what went into the thinking process behind trying to advance out and grow the brand that you have from Houston Motorsports Park and the Texas Short Track Racing Series? At what point did it become a viable option to want to open up Mobile and try to race over there too?
Oh man, there were a few contributing factors that made me look for like a track to partner with or to get some more racing in. First of all, it was so we have racers. We're fortunate to have racers that can afford to travel and race more. With Modifieds and Mayhem and Pensacola and that area, and I wanted to look at a way to partner with a track to not lose all the racers, consistently. I wanted to offer more to our racers. And I thought that a sister track like Mobile, that's a half mile, and then we're a 3/8 mile would be a good complement. It's really odd, but it just kind of started coming together. I didn't go the Mobile direction at first, um, but as things started progressing and I'd look and I researched and I did other things, it just kind of seemed to fit. These two tracks, even though they're far apart, not really. I mean, it's along the path that our racers travel anyway. Some of our racers, they're very. I think they will complement each other in what I'm trying to do. If that makes sense, Bobby. I know that's all over the place, but really, this thing has been all over the place. But this felt right, and it fell together. And Miss Ida, she's the owner. She worked with me because she really wanted to see this track race, and I did too. It's very similar to HMP and the situation it's in, as far as racing and then not racing and then racing. So I'm hopeful that, and I'm excited that I think that we can get it going.
And that's one of the things, Gina, that I think folks need to understand, because I know that there have been some of the Texans, with why Mobile? Why not more dates in Texas? But again, as we've talked about it, and it's something that Bobby and I talk about all the time, it's not in your hands with Houston. And again, Houston, that's what you've done in Houston is again what you're going to be doing there at Mobile. But you're restricted what you can do in Houston, so there has to be another outlet. So this is just a tremendous opportunity, and I know some of the inner workings there to where it's going to be worth some guys traveling back and forth.
I think so. I definitely think so. That's part of the kind of the phase 2 of information we'll be releasing, is how we're going to structure things with the racing between the tracks. Essentially, I would like to offer local racers to Houston a good schedule. I'd like to offer Mobile racers a good schedule, but I want to offer the racers that would like to travel have an additional championship points fund set up on the home and based off of kind of like a home and away type track thing. Just various options.
Yeah.
Sorry, I know we're talking about Mobile, but let's talk a little bit about Houston. What's been the reception of the racetrack, and how have the drivers and stuff been reacting since you released the schedule for Houston for 2021?
Well, it's been kind of quiet. I'm sure it's all of the holidays, and I apologize for those again. But I think that we're going to have a good year of racing. I've talked to a few racers, and they seemed fine with it. I think for the most part, people just want to get back to racing. I think it's been a crazy year already, what little of it we've had. And I feel like this year people are going to focus on their hobbies or their families or their jobs, and they all kind of tie together. And I think families will be looking to go out and watch some events at venues. I think racing will be a option I definitely want to put right out in front of them to get them to come watch us. And we just are going to kind of go with the flow. But for the most part, racers have been great in their response to the schedule. The ones that I've reached out to.
Yeah. Gina, I think what this really does, with Mobile, because that's one of those places. I'm on that forum, Racers of Mobile, and man, just to look at the pictures and everything, and just the storied history there, and all the great drivers there out of the Mobile area that continue to do extremely well. I think this really is an olive branch for Texas when you have the Mobile and HMP and Texas Short Track Racing Series as sister tracks, because that's really what this is. When you sister these two tracks together, man, I think that affords Mobile an opportunity to come back to life, and at the same time, Texas an opportunity to really get some momentum.
I believe so. I think that in whenever I was looking at HMP, just the viability of it alone, I needed something like Mobile to take racing in the direction that I wanted to try. Mm-hmm. And I think they will support each other well. My plans are to run the same primary classes at both of them, as well as, and then the companion classes will be different. The eco stocks and stuff, and we'll have pure stock there and sportsmen at Mobile. But we'll look at bringing them eventually. It's my hopes to look at bringing some of those to HMP and some of the others to Mobile. If not, they'll stay local classes. But it has a lot of potential. We just kind of have to pay attention to the pulse.
Right. Yeah, that's important. Hugely important.
Definitely.
So Gina, was it a harder sell for Bo to come in and be part of this thing? Obviously, Bo's an unsung hero, does so much behind the scenes. But what was his reaction when you finally said, you know what, I think this is what we're going to do?
When I originally thought of this,
I know
and
this
really
answer.
started breaking it down, yes, he thought I was out of my mind. It just took a while of convincing, and then, like I said, excuse me, things started happening and falling into place. And I think, for the most part, he would go with me and follow what I say. But that helped. All the things that were happening helped put it together. And going there, we went there a few times. You can't help but get excited when you see a half mile that they can run 3 wide coming out of 2, going into, going toward 3.
Yeah, that's
beautiful.
That's super exciting, and a press release coming. So that'll be tomorrow. So keep your eyes open for that one. So Gina, let's talk about. I know some of the negotiation there because obviously this agreement is a lease with a purchase opportunity in place. But I know that with Miss Ida, you weren't the first person to come to her. So this really did take. I don't want to say some convincing. But I mean, this really took, you spending time with her for her to really work into this. Because again, I mean, all of us want to open tracks. I mean, how many times have we heard,
right,
when I win the lottery, that's what, when I win the lottery, I'm like, well, you're never going to fucking win that. But anyway, so talk about all of that, the negotiation there with that nice lady.
She really wanted to sell it. She's, she's very attached to the place, and she wants it to be sold and kind of let it go and go in the right direction. And I think that's what took convincing is to give me a year, give us a year on the lease with the plans we had in place, because in purchasing as all the property, we were looking at everything, drag strip included, everything. If we had to do that, if we did that, we would have to focus on running the drag strip, and that would take away from our game plan on the oval. But we are focused on the oval, and this kind of fit. There was someone, a man named Eddie Shoemaker's going to run the drag strip, and we're going to run the oval, and I'm going to help him with his marketing on the drag strip. So we get everything in place to purchase it December, January is what we're looking at. But we also get, since the track has been closed for a couple of years, this will give us a year's worth of financials, and that always helps.
Right.
When you're purchasing something like this.
Absolutely.
It's a beast to purchase. There's a lot to it. It's kind of overwhelming, but fun at the same time.
Nope, no doubt.
So when does the press release comes out tomorrow? Let's give everybody just kind of a quick calendar update on what to expect on the next couple of weeks here. So there's a press release tomorrow. What can we expect with classes and announcements and stuff like that here within the next couple of weeks?
We'll announce the schedule will be coming out with the classes on the schedule. We'll be announcing the sponsors for everything, and then the structure of the whole deal. Meaning, the series, the lead series, and the traveling and that stuff, the name, lots in the works.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the thing, again, just to recap it to this point, it will be a limited schedule. Again, I see folks chiming in here. They're talking about fixing grandstands and all of that. And I mean, this is part of the puzzle. There's a lot to be done there. So what? That's right. What I'm on the team. What we ask is that you be patient, because we're going to get you a product. It's going to take a little bit of time. But we're going to ease you into it. So with all of this being said, we know with that Gulf Coast region and everything that happens over there with those tracks along that just massive Gulf Coast race. I mean, hell, they've been racing like we were talking the other day. I don't think the season ever ended. They've been going. But how it sounds like you've had good connections, responses with Tim Bryant and all of those folks that are the important people down there. Sounds like all of that has worked out really well for you.
Yes, and the schedule that we have made up, it doesn't, overlap with anything. It runs with some of it, and we'll have, some big races or one big race that we did with town. So we've got a lot in the works, and this year is more about getting things back on track. It's kind of like a 2019 with HMP. We're gonna feel our way. We're gonna get things back on track, and then we're gonna, evaluate it as we go. We have a set schedule, and we have a huge punch list of big items,
Right.
lighting and grandstands and stuff. So we are trying to run it and still be able to do what we have focused, what we've got to do to make it even better for 2022. 2022 should be our biggest year for both HMP and Mobile. I'm excited about the future, and what this year is a movement towards that.
Right. Totally agree.
Yep.
Totally agree.
So I guess the only question that I've got that's left is that as far as the track itself goes, obviously there's a lot of stuff to work on and stuff like that. Is there one thing in particular that you picked out first? Is it the lights? Is it the track surface? Is it the grandstands? Or is it all just one big solid thing that you got to work on as a complete whole?
Well, it's really dictated about allocating funds in the smartest way possible to get the track open and presented in the best way possible. When we open it, it's important to me that we're presenting it to the fans and the racers in the direction that we're going. I didn't want to just, okay, we're going to rush to open it. Let's open it and we'll just fix it as we go. It's super hard to do that. And I think that maybe that's why the fan base wasn't consistent in the past. So again, we're trying to do it like we did HMP in the smartest way possible for longevity of the whole program, of both programs at HMP and Mobile International Speedway.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Lastly, Gina, two-sided question. Number one, I know you've got a town hall at some point. That date will come out. I think that's largely important for the folks down there. Come on out, get to know you, get to know members of the team and so forth. And then on top of that, also I know that there's going to be a really good a media push and an online push, whatever you want to call it, utilizing Facebook with viewing options, all of that. Any restrictions that we may run into, that you may run into, we run into, we've got ways in place to try to get through all of that.
Right, definitely. This is it's a challenge. Miss Ida's helping me through opening and all the things that you need to do to open. But there's a lot that Ronnie, that we focused on last year that we needed to learn to implement, and it will benefit what we're doing here as well. We didn't know that, but now we do. So I think it's going to be a good thing, and I'm excited about it. A lot of things that we have planned for this year for both tracks.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the racers over there, I think, are super excited too. Mm-hmm. The response that we got when we were there was really great. They were excited. We handed out flyers about the first practice there is March 27th with a town hall and everything, and lunch and talk to the racers and all that good stuff. So we handed out flyers at Five Flags at the swap meet, and man, my phone started burning up.
Well, that's why I have to tell you that's why I sent you that picture, because I know that we had this whole timeline of how we were going to do things, and then I saw that one on Facebook where I saw the flyer, and I'm like, plan B, and then Bobby texted me and said secrets out, or I forget what it was that Bobby said.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. So I was like, oh well, but I mean, that's good. I mean, that's what you need. I mean, it's good to. I mean, there are folks just blowing up this message board here, and it's just so good to see them excited, because that place needs to be open. That's the bottom line.
It does. I feel the same way, and it was hard. It's hard to keep everything a secret when you have to consult with racers over there, and there's so many people I've talked to along the way about things that I had to learn. This is a whole nother market as far as marketing goes, and sponsors, as well as a whole nother, history of racing. For 48 years, Miss Ida has owned and operated it. For 27 of those, she owned and operated with her husband, Lee Fields.
Right.
So there's a lot of stories there, But I will tell you, it's very much like our racing, like Texas racing. All the same stories, all these pictures, and everything that people they'll tell me about the track and tell me what they remember. It's
Right.
identical to all the stuff you see on the Meyer Speedway page or the San Antonio page. It's the same, and that's what I kind of want to get back to. I want to keep things going in a more solid and consistent direction for racing.
Absolutely. Sorry, Bobby, I jumped on you on that one. I didn't know if you had another one.
No, I think we've got
Okay.
enough as far as the spoiler alert. A lot of the spoilerness came out when the flyer came out at the swap meet, but I don't know. I'm hoping for nothing but the best, just like I do for Houston. It's the same team, a lot of the same team, going to run over at Mobile, so I look forward to the same product and the same success as it is here locally. So time to expand the brand.
Hey, Gina, I'm excited because, my Texas Longhorns, we just seem to have trouble. But with all the time that I'm going to be spending in Alabama, I'll be able to say, roll tide. I think we lost her. I think she dropped off right there at the end. But so there's your breaking news right there. Man, and that, like we said, it started to come out. I mean, all of that started to happen. And, it's done. It's a done deal. You're gonna have that limited schedule there, and it's gonna be some good stuff.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I've never been to Mobile. Heard lots of good stuff about the racetrack as a whole. Heard that it's a really big time, fast half mile. Those that apparently like San Antonio will really enjoy Mobile.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. It's going to be super exciting. And again, just to recap that, just kind of bullet points there. It'll be a limited schedule there at Mobile, and again, limited schedule. Limited is better than nothing. And when we say limited, and when we say limited, I mean that's more than one or two races. I mean, this isn't just going to be a one-off or anything like that. You got to figure out. I can tell you some of the backstory on it. This has been working for a long time. And it really started to take shape in January. And the whole thing is, Gina and Bo are trying to get down there. They're trying to get logistics put together. The place needs work. I mean, she said elbow grease or a little loving, and a lot of our Alabama folks, which by the way, Alabama friends, welcome to the Revved Up Sports Show. We do this every Monday, 6:30 Central, 7:30 Eastern. And, man, we'd love to have you guys as a part of the show, right, Bobby? I mean, you're family now, man. You're family now if you weren't before.
That's right, absolutely. We love the way that the group expands all the time. Obviously, with this new venture into the Alabama region, Southern Alabama, it'll get a chance to not only expand the brand for the Texas Short Track Racing Series and Gina and them what they do, but also get a chance to expand the brand of the Revved Up Sports Show. So we look forward to growing along with them, just like we did at Houston Motorsports Park before. We look forward to growing not only the brand of racing that we have in Texas, but the brand of the show.
Yeah, and we absolutely don't just talk Texas racing on here. Go back to the archives at revvedupsportshow.com, and you can find everything there. We talk to people from all over the country. This is a national show. It just originates out of Texas, and that's a very good thing. So welcome aboard. Like it, share it. We'd love to have you a part. RevvedUpSportsShow.tv, RevvedUpSportsShow.com, RealRaceTalk.com, and, of course, RevvedUpRadio.com. On this show, again, if that wasn't enough, and again, Mobile coming back to life. It's a done deal. It's signed off. Keys are in place. Everything is done. Coming up at 6:30, we're going to talk to the folks from 105 Speedway. That's another place. That there's some transition going on. We'll talk to Chris Brown and Joey Smith. They're going to tell us about all those great things. And if that wasn't enough, 7 o'clock, you thought Promoter of the Year was a big deal. We're going to talk to Phil Whipple, and we've got something else for you that is going to be massive. So stay tuned for that. But that's a good way. 6 o'clock, pretty good starting time there, Bob, don't you think?
Yeah, it's a little quicker than normal, but who knows, right? Maybe we found the new niche, and we started with the 6:30 to give our friends over on the East Coast a chance to eat dinner and stuff like that. But who knows? Maybe this 6 o'clock start may be something to continue to work on. So I don't know. We'll see. It's a little earlier, but as we said, the show is not always set in stone. It's somewhat of a work in progress, and we'll be working to make the most progress we can.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we said, we were talking to Gina there in Florida. they've been racing. I don't know if you caught the Frostbite 200 from 417 Southern Speedway the other night. 200 laps there. They tore some stuff up, but when it was all said and done, Jason Vale wins in the 407 over Bubba Pollard. And, man, those last 20 laps there with Devin McLeod and Bubba Pollard, man, that Bobby, I don't know if you saw that, but, man, those guys, that, my friend, that looked like dirt racing to compliment our dirt friends, man. That was good stuff. I like those sportsmen.
Yeah, I only got to watch the highlights of the event so far, but it looks like it was a really good race as a whole. For as much as you can with tearing up equipment in an event that long. But I mean, I was pleasantly surprised to see how much publicity that the race itself has received, both on social media with Sunshine State Racing, along with some of that other stuff. So that was it's good to see racing. As we've always said, the rising tide raises all boats. As far as Florida gets successful, that can help out with Pensacola. Pensacola helps out with Mobile. Mobile helps out with Houston. It's all one good solid package, and we look forward to having everything, especially in 2021. As bad as 2020 was for a lot, as we said, for those that haven't listened to the show before, we realized that 2020 taught us to not take a lot of stuff for granted, including racing.
Right.
And it feels as though that definitely, without a shadow of a doubt, there's been more involvement with racing. Gina said that she didn't get a lot of feedback on that Houston schedule, but I think it's because everybody's buckled down and trying to get all their cars and stuff prepped for the first practice coming up in March.
Yeah, and the Houston schedule, remains unchanged with all the Mobile stuff that is happening. I mean, Mobile is together, but a separate thing. And honestly, I mean, hopefully what is going to happen there is that you do get drivers that are going to go back and forth, because like she said, there are going to be some classes that run both tracks. I mean, obviously trucks, modifieds, all that stuff. And then there'll be others, the eco stocks. That's going to be a Houston class. And again, not speaking for, I'm just kind of generalizing. And then you'll have the stuff up in Mobile that will be, solely Mobile. And then you'll have, as she said, other, I think she used the word big races that come into place. And those could be pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, all you got to do is kind of lay schedules on top of each other and make a couple of inclinations and kind of figure out there's potentials for one huge race there to close out that deal. If you can kind of picture out a summertime series with the summertime racing series there at Mobile. So it's got a chance to be really exciting in 2021. I'm glad to see that Gina has taken another step forward in this whole promotion business.
And it's been tough on her. I mean, I could tell you that there's been a lot of back and forth of the way to approach it. And, the exact way to do it. And as many times, Bobby, as we've talked about the struggles of the promoter, and again, we always talk about leasing versus owning. And again, she's leasing Mobile here for this action in 2021. However, and you'll see it in the release tomorrow, because I've seen it, the release does, there's the purchase part. And that's a game changer right there. That is a game changer. And seriously, what this does, I mean, this ties, like we were saying there, this ties everything together. And the nice part about it, I think, Bobby, I think you'll probably agree with this, is, I mean, you look at that Gulf Coast strip, the anchor is now Texas. Got Florida up here. The anchor's now Texas. Texas is a player for the Texas race fan.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's all going to be one. You went from having it very regionalized to having your Florida Gulf Coast stuff, controlled by Pensacola. And Pensacola is still a major force down there. Sure. Tim Bryan and the gang down there, especially with the way that the Southern Super Series is running down in the Southeast. But you also realize now, with Houston becoming a major player in the Southeastern region now, that makes it more of a player. Now you've got both sides. Now you throw in Mobile. Hell, if we could find a way to get a track in Mississippi, hell, that'd be even better.
Well, you never know. That could happen. But that's good stuff right there. We'll revisit that as we have time in the show. But as we're talking about tracks coming back to life, and not back to life in this scenario, but we're going to the Revved Up Sports Show hotline, 105 Speedway right there in Cleveland. That's one of the favorites of the show. And man, they're doing some stuff there as well. I mean, they're getting back to basics. I mean, I'm already seeing stuff on the chat line there where they're saying management is in place once again. Chris Brown and Joey Smith are going to join us. One or both, I'm not sure which one. They will tell us on the hotline. How you doing, guys?
How's it going?
Doing well, man. Doing well. Everything good? Can you guys catch us on your end?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay, absolutely. So, do we got Chris, Joey, or both of you guys?
Yeah, you. We got both.
Nice, nice. A foursome. Hell yeah, man. So the hashtag real race talk. So tell us, guys. There's some changes happening there, and we were talking about a Mobile asphalt track, and we still had people posting hashtag 105 Speedway is great again. What's happening, guys?
You want to go? Yeah, well, we'll just get into it here.
Absolutely. After that,
we've got a team of guys that has made a deal with the previous business owner / promoter, Mary and Tina, and we are taking the track over. We've purchased the equipment, basically the business, and we're ready to kind of put our spin on it and see if we can kind of breathe some life into racing around Houston.
nice.
So guys, in terms of what needs to be done, obviously you guys were kind of involved with a little bit of it last year, trying to get the promotional side back up and running. What's the track need? Is it race ready? Is it turnkey, or you got to put a little bit of elbow grease into it? What's the track need for 2021?
Well, I think, this is Chris. I think that, naturally, anytime you take something over, we've gone through a process of evaluating and prioritizing certain things. Naturally, safety is number one.
Sure.
So we actually just got word a few minutes before hopping on that all the repairs on the grandstand side for the fans has been taken care of. So did a lot of repair work there, and then about to start on the pit side as well. So, we've just kind of, again, tried to prioritize what exactly needed to be done, and trying to listen to the people that have spent, week in and week out there. We've been, at least speaking for myself, I've been out there intermittently. Joey spent a little more time out there, but, if you're willing to listen to, what your customers are telling you, they're going to give you the answers to the test and what exactly you should be working on to improve the race environment out there.
Yeah, that really is so important because you do. I mean, you're always going to get feedback. Some of it goes in one ear, out the other. I mean, we've been on that side, but I think it's really it gets tough because I think a lot of times, guys, and I don't know if this is what you guys have been faced with, but when you lose, sometimes when you lose the ear or the confidence of the race teams and the drivers, that's when it gets hard. That's when it gets hard because nobody wants to see a show where, you don't have a lot of action or don't have a lot of race cars out there.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the things that I feel like has been a snowball that, once that gets rolling in the wrong direction, it's tough to stop.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff that we've done, we've got, I think it's about 80 loads of new clay that's already been brought in. We're bringing in a lot of technology. One of the big complaints we have, or that we've heard, is that it gets to one groove on the bottom. We can't race. All we're doing is tearing up equipment.
Yeah.
So we're doing everything we can to widen the racing area with the real estate we've got. We've got a big investment in track prep equipment, everything from, state-of-the-art maintainers and basically the stuff you would see at Charlotte or,
Wow.
Lucas Oil. We want to make sure we give the guys the best prepped and best chance of having something good to race on so that they can keep their equipment in top shape. And then at the same time, you do that, and then the fans see a better show and hopefully want to come back and see us again.
That's right.
So, guys, this question for one of you guys: how important is it to embrace the history of the facility? Obviously, 105 has been around for a while, had a couple of different owners and promoters and stuff like that. Some have been more successful than others over there. But how important is it to embrace the history of the facility, but yet try to find a way to put your own stamp on this next generation of ownership and promotions that you guys are going to do?
That's a tough question because, as you look back on history, there have been some great times out there. I mean, I remember, when I first started coming down here and my dad was sponsoring Ray Allen Kahanic, they'd run 2 features of bombers, and then the limited class came around and they started really catching on. The 2 races you didn't miss were the street stock race and the modified race because there was a lot of talent in both divisions. So I think more than anything, as far as embracing, the history is embracing that part of it, and so that we can, I'm just going to be honest with you. There's been a gradual deterioration of participation in racing in our area, and I feel like the group that we have together, is taking it personal and trying to do everything that we can to, change the experience at the racetrack, change how people are treated, every aspect of it, just to make sure that they have a good experience. Because, we're down here in Houston, there's a lot of competition for your entertainment dollar. And so we got to make sure that we bring it week in and week out.
Yeah, and guys, I mean, you took it exactly where I was going to go. I mean, we've got the asphalt track. We were just talking to Gina, but I mean, it's Houston. I mean, that metropolitan area, one of the biggest in the country. It really does suck that with that Houston racing history, dirt and asphalt, that we've all kind of struggled. It's really sad, isn't it? And a tough chore to bring it back to where we all want it to be.
Yeah, it is. It's a deal where, we feel like just with the natural progression in classes and the evolution of racing as a whole, this area has really lost that grow the next generation mentality.
Yep.
And once you lose the kids, more and more kids are playing baseball or basketball, things like that. Now dad's not going to the track,
right.
And if there's not a funnel to get the new drivers and younger folks involved, then, you've lost your foundation and your water source, if you will.
Sure.
So that's one of the big things that we're concentrating on.
Absolutely.
So you guys are doing good. You guys are leading in right to the next questions that we're having. That makes this one a lot of fun.
This is good.
So that was going to be my question: is do you look at running a go-kart program to get the young kids involved, or is there more of a beginner class like not an E-mod, but like a junior mod class with the 4 cylinders or stuff like that, or is it too early to know how you're going to get the kids back involved?
So the go-kart topic, we've had that around the shop, and when we've gone out racing, with our own programs, those 16-hour rides down the highway, a lot of this stuff comes up, and go-karts are always on that list, and so we're definitely going to try to do something there. We've got a lot of people that have that sort of stuff laying around. We can probably get something going pretty easy on that end. The other topic that's always big is on just a beginner's type class. I know Chris, myself, a lot of the guys that we know were just kind of thrown to the wolves, and you went out and started right next to the guy that's won 15 features.
Yeah.
And that's just kind of how you learned. But I think now, we're right back again to, the way technology and frankly, spending has changed racing. A lot of these classes, you've got to know who to go talk to and who to spend your dollar with. So it's a tricky deal where a new guy getting into it, you can't just go knock the windows out and put a 6-point cage in and go bomber racing anymore. Right. Factory stocks have evolved into a pretty serious race car even. So, the beginner level, whether it's a beginner mod or something along those lines is definitely on our radar. It's on the whiteboard already. Main thing we want to do is just make sure that if a guy invests in a program like that, they're going to be able to retain something, whether it's equipment or, firsthand setup knowledge and and skills that they learn there. We want to make sure it carries on when they move on.
Yeah, that really is a great point. I mean, I know with the factories, I mean, I'm an old street stock guy myself, so when I see the factories, I'm like, yeah, that right there is what I love to race and what I grew up on. But yeah, they have definitely gotten a tad bit serious. So your 2021 schedule. So what I saw. So it looks like February, I mean, from the 6th all the way through. So you got play days scheduled, and then you're going to fire off March 6th. Is that still the plan at this point?
Yeah, that's the plan. We've got a mountain of work ahead of us, and Jerry was real cool, the previous owner promoter. He's going to kind of manage the play days for us just so that we can open the track and let guys get some track time while we're taking care of everything we need to do to be ready to fire off on March 6th.
That's awesome.
So what's the thought going in you guys' head right now? We were talking to Gina about it by taking on a new business venture, and she was just like, in the beginning, it was totally spooky and scary, and now it's just become another project for her. So now that you guys are in it and you've got the equipment and it's almost coming, are the nerves gone because you end up doing more stuff now and you're going to be so busy getting the track ready? Or what's the mindset for you guys right now as you're sitting here 6 weeks away from your opening night?
Well, I think that, like Joey was saying, there's just a mountain of work. And I think, that's the biggest area of concern, as far as running the program. Myself, I've been fortunate enough to run, USMTS, Lucas Oil Late Models, World Outlaw, all of those sanctioning bodies that do a fantastic job of running an efficient show. So I feel pretty good on that side. Joey has a tremendous background, managing people for when he was with NOV. So I think that, he'll be able to handle some of the back office stuff really, really well. And so as far as the race program, I actually personally don't have a whole lot of, anxiety or nervousness. I think, it probably helps a little bit that we got the Texas Grand under our belt and felt like it went off really, really smooth. And naturally there's, stuff we learned and that we'll implement as we go. But for the first go, I think, everybody involved was pretty pleased with the outcome.
Yeah, absolutely. Heard great things about that, and it did look like a really good show. So how is it, guys? I mean, we guys that have done this for so long, we've been in racing forever. I mean, how is it that we, evolve from, you grow up a fan, you end up, your parents race and you race, and now we get on the shit side over here where we're working all the other stuff, man. How's that happen to us?
Joey. Well, it kind of just manifests itself from, whether you're looking at places where you're racing on a Saturday night and you start getting the idea that maybe you have a different angle that would help it out. It's kind of a tough one. It's a long evolution.
Yeah, it is.
We like the way that we got into the whole Texas Grand thing. There was a show scheduled for the end of the year that got canceled, and our other partner, Jesse McNorton, he's diehard. If they race 4 nights a week, he's going to be there. And he just told us we needed to put a show on that he wasn't done racing for the year. So we kind of looked at it and pulled the trigger, and in a month went from the whiteboard to the racetrack with a show for our first time. So, and it was a big help that we went and met with a longtime friend, David Sawester, and actually purchased the Texas Grand name and program from him, and did kind of the same thing. We just updated it to our own spin, and it worked out real well.
Yeah.
Man. But yeah, for us, it was a comment about our buddy not being done racing, and here we are.
And I got to tell you, you guys keep, and Bobby can attest to this. You guys keep saying whiteboard. I mean, I'm a whiteboard guy. I mean, my whole office is all whiteboard, and I mean that's where the stuff gets real. You got to write this stuff down, man.
Oh, it's eye-opening. You know, this is a lean business. There's no denying it. And, you know, I think a lot of times you see promoters / owners, you know, especially in like a leased property type situation where they're really hesitant to invest.
Right.
And, you know, that's been our game plan from the start is we run through a business plan. We make sure that it makes sense before we dive in. And, you know, when you actually have to write it all down and you cover all your expenses and you have an idea of what your break even is, you know, you got to get real about it and understand what you're getting into. And we're at that point.
Yeah. You see that break even, you still keep going. You still keep going anyway. Sorry, Bobby. Go ahead, man.
Race car drivers, we like to risk.
I know.
Well, one thing I know from experience talking to the promoters on here is that the next time you guys go to another racetrack that's not your own, you will look at the program completely different because you're going to be wondering, what did they do to get the good price on these hot dogs? How many burgers did they have to cook? Or, you know, what's the PA guy sound like? You know, how many racers are they putting in the pit? So congratulations on the new venture with 105, but it's going to be a challenge next time you go to another racetrack because that's the only thing you're not even going to get a chance to enjoy the races because you'll be checking out all the backside stuff that everybody thinks is so simple that you just come into the racetrack, flip on the lights, and go racing.
Oh, it's funny you say that. On the Texas Grand, we ran a Halloween race 2 weeks before our show, and you know we thought we were in pretty good shape as far as where we needed to be. And I was standing in the pits, and they said, "Take off your hats for the national anthem." And I had to look at Jesse and say, "Oh crap!" You know, we didn't even consider who's going to raise the flag, who's going to sing the national anthem. We've got 15 more things to do just to get started. So yeah, looking at the back side of things is definitely a different perspective. We had to take our racer hat off and put on the promoter hat.
Absolutely, man. It's a whole new appreciation when you get on that side. So lastly, guys, online registration and so forth, and I mean, you guys, pit spots, slabs, and all of that. What's a plan for everyone there, and you know, moving forward as hot laps start?
So you know, we'll have online registration open back up the next couple of days. We're working on finalizing everything there. We're gonna do our best to have it to where we can also go out and take paper registrations during play days. Pit slabs and everything will be back for sale later this week. We'll have it all posted. Everybody can follow our Facebook page to get all the details.
Good stuff. That's good stuff. Bobby, you got something, man?
No, all I got is good luck. It takes a lot. Hopefully you guys sound like you know what you're getting into now. So best of luck on a 2021 season and all the seasons going forward.
Oh, well, thank you. And, you know, I wanted to add one thing, which is, you know, I know that you have Joey and I, you know, on here talking, but, you know, we really can't say enough about Jesse McNorton because in all actuality, this is his vision and it's something that he's wanted to do for a while. And we're just the fortunate ones that, you know, have the opportunity to promote it and try to, you know, do something positive for the Houston area racing. So, you know, I definitely don't want him to get lost in the shuffle because he is as big of a part, if not the biggest part of what makes this whole thing go.
Yeah, absolutely. Guys, so let me ask you, I mean, you guys have been at this for a long time. So on all different sides before we cut you loose. So your thoughts, we always ask whether it be drivers or promoters, whatever it is. Social media is so important. I mean, you can do so many good things with it. But it sounds like you guys are going to be an open book where if something happens, Bobby uses a Cole hot dog reference all the time that can make things so terrible when they get on Facebook. I mean, I think the thing is for folks to realize if something, whether it be a driver, fan, crew, whatever, if something's not right, reach out to you guys. Don't go to the masses here and just start doing all this craziness.
Yeah, I think whenever they go to the masses like that, and this could probably be looked at from several different angles, but at that point, are you really looking for a solution?
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like if you contact the people in charge and we have an opportunity to give us an opportunity to fix it. And then if we don't fix it at that point, then blow us out of the water. You know what I mean? But at least give us that opportunity to fix whatever issue is there. Because I can assure you that everybody involved here cares a tremendous amount, and we want to make it right. We want perfection.
Right.
And that's the expectation. We know it's not going to be perfect, but we're going to try like hell to make sure that it is.
Yeah, absolutely. I found so many times, like with my race announcing, when somebody doesn't like something I say, if they put it on Facebook and kind of blow it to the masses right there, I'll find I'm a realtor. I can find a way to get a hold of them, and so I do that. And that really seems to fix things. It's they want somebody to hear them. It's like call me. Don't do that other stuff.
But I feel like too, when we were at running the Texas Grand, naturally there's calls that, people felt like didn't go their way or whatever the case may, have been. But, for our group, I mean, we're all willing to have that conversation and say, like, hey, this is how we viewed it, or this is why whatever transpired is what transpired, whether if it's a cold hot dog or whatever the case may be. We'll definitely, have a cordial conversation with them to try to get to the bottom so that we may agree to disagree, but at least we both understand each other's perspectives.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking forward to it, guys. 105speedwayracing.com is the place. Follow on Facebook, 105 Speedway. And like Bobby said, man, best wishes, guys. Reach out anytime, man. This show is here to help Texas racing, and we'd love to do anything we can to help you, and we'll come see you sometime.
Yeah, if you're in the area, let us know. We'd like to have you.
Yeah, absolutely. Look forward to it, man. Chris Brown and Joey Smith, appreciate the time, gentlemen. I love the enthusiasm. I like the energy. It's going to be a good season.
We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Take care, guys. Things are looking good in Houston, my friend. Things are looking good in Houston. Take out the whole problem with George Springer and Deshaun Watson, but racing is looking good.
Racing is getting better when you compare it to the dumpster fire that's the Houston Texans. That is definitely for sure. But those guys have a good idea of what they're getting into. I think that there's always going to be that initial shock. Every promoter that we talk to has that realistic expectation of it's not going to be easy, right? But there's certain things like the national anthem thing was a great story that they were talking about, because it's one of the little things. Racers don't pay attention to the little things. They don't pay attention. They pay attention to the nut and bolts on the race car. That's the little things they worry about, but they don't worry about who's saying the prayer, who's doing the national anthem, who's getting the lineups to the announcer, who's working the payout window. That's the stuff that who counts the money. A lot of times that's the promoter that counts the money, but that's a bunch of the little things that the drivers just sometimes, as they transition into promoters, just kind of don't think about, and they kind of got to learn it the hard way.
Yeah, and that's one of the things there, like what they were talking about, and that's where like Bobby with us, as you get more accustomed to this. I mean, one of the first things I do when I go to a track, like when I go and talk to Owen, I'm like, okay, are we doing X, X, and X, and X, and X? In pre-race, he's like, yes. Or, with Gina, I'm like, so somebody singing, and that's the stuff that people just don't understand. There is so much of it that you have to learn. And I mean, these guys, I mean, Chris and Joey, man, I really think that these guys, and just with all the comments that we saw, and I mean, there's folks talking about, if you see the correlation there, you go back and look at the comments there where we had folks with Mobile talking about, the grandstands need work and so forth. We got folks talking about bathrooms and all of that. They're with 105. That's great. They're going to get to that. But just the fact that, and I will give all of these promoters, I'll give these guys, everyone that comes on here, it's totally easy for a promoter. I mean, JT, all these guys. It's easy for them to say, no, I don't want to be on your show. Talk to the drivers.
Yeah.
I mean, it's easy to hide, but these promoters these days, they're not hiding. They want to get on here and they want this feedback.
Yeah, no, I mean, and we've seen that, and I think that a lot of times, a lot of the tracks face the same problems, right? Everybody goes to these newer style venues at these professional sports levels with the individual cup holders and the
Yeah,
plastic
yeah,
seats and all of
yeah.
that. You're not going to get that at a racetrack.
No.
Only some sections of Texas Motor Speedway are like that. So it's hard to get the same thing that you get from a professional sports. They're going to complain that there's not enough Wi-Fi, right? Where you actually have to use your cell phone data. So that's a lot of the things you've got to train the fans. You're still trying to give them the best entertainment value for the hard-earned dollar, obviously, because as we said in Houston, there's a lot of other stuff to do in Houston. But as far as just getting the fans involved, I think that's one of the things that's number one you got to do. You got to get the feedback of the racers. You got to get the feedback from the fans. Once you do that, then everything should be fine, ready to rock and roll.
Sure, and I think one thing that needs to happen here, again, we can talk about. Yeah, I wish there was a track in Austin. I wish there was a track in San Antonio, and so forth, and all of that. But for Houston, Houston's going to be in a really unique position to where you're going to have you got all these 105 dates, and they'll have the Halloween Havoc and everything at the end of the year there. But there's plenty of racing right there. But I think that Houston is in a good position where you can find that offset, and I mean all of that is there to where, I mean, from Cleveland to HMP. I mean, I don't know the exact distance between the two, but I know when I'm going to HMP, I see signs that tell me if I want to go to Cleveland, go that way. So, I mean, there's opportunities there for these two. I mean, dare I say, Gina and these guys could work in tandem, but I mean, that's not for me to say, but I think there's a real good opportunity here for Houston to really get on the map here, especially with that rich tradition that folks talk about with Houston. I talk about UT fans, which I'm one, where we're always talking about Vince Young and Ricky Williams and Earl Campbell and all that. I'm like, great, yeah, let's make some new memories. I think Houston's in a good spot here where they can do it on the racing side.
Yeah, I don't think it's very far from the two racetracks, and obviously it'd be great to kind of work together for, say, a factory stock deal. That'd be kind of fun.
Yep.
In addition to working, with Owen down there at Texana, but I think that people forget that Houston has that long history. You've happened on the asphalt side with Meyer Speedway and stuff like that, watching AJ Foyt and those guys come up through the ranks. And then you've got the long history of, say, even something as simple as a Big H. I mean, Big H
Yeah.
was the place to be for a long time when dirt track racing, because it was a big deal. If you won an outlaw race, a world outlaw race at Big H, you were the man, right? You had the great big set of balls, and you're able to tame that big fast racetrack. So, then you have the history. We talked to Brad last week about Battleground. Battleground has granted they're on the opposite sides of the metropolitan area, but Houston's, that's the one thing that I think that's going to be weird is that all the racing action is going to be up on that northwest side of Houston.
Yeah, and that's again, everything that the outflux, that's really where they can do it. But I think for folks to support both these racetracks is just going to be tremendous. And there's plenty of crossover now. I mean, back in the day, it used to be you had your asphalt people, which I was one, and then you had dirt people. But now you got to be both. I mean, you can be both. And it's totally okay. And I do have to tell you that the message of the day, the message of the night on the Revved Up Sports Show is from Ike Berry, who says, at a racetrack, you shouldn't need Wi-Fi. You should be paying attention to the race. And that's right. That's really what it all comes down to. But, Bobby, you're right. Where folks, I mean, I have people, I know, like at Cotton Bowl, they're like, hey, what's the Wi-Fi password? I'm like, do they have it? I mean, hell, I don't know. I have no idea. I don't care. I mean, I'm here for the races, and that's what it's all about. If I'm at home, I want the Wi-Fi to work to watch it on whatever, but not there.
Yeah, you don't need the Wi-Fi password, and you need hot dogs and the correct number of jalapenos.
That's exactly right. So before we talk to Phil Whipple, which is coming up, big announcement, huge announcement coming up. I have it here, but we're going to let him talk about it. But so Bobby, the birthday coming up, my man. Are you excited for another year? You survived the pandemic, and everything's going to be just fine.
Well, hopefully. I mean, it's not as big as the shindig from last year with the big birthday party / Super Bowl party. When you had 50-something people over at the house, but it's not too bad to have kind of a nice low key birthday. It happens every once in a while, and it's good to have it. Lucky enough to take a couple of days off from the day job, having a chance to just chill out and relax, get a few projects done around the house. So
yeah.
That's been kind of nice, but it's always room for improvement. Got to get recharged, get back in the groove. racing season's coming, and I looked at that schedule. There's not a lot of free weekends when you figure out some of the big cup races on the weekend, and then you've got the local stuff starting to kick up here. So it's going to be the summertime's going to be here, and it's going to get busy before we know it.
Yes, sir. It's going to be fun. It is going to be fun. Go back to the hotline. 7 o'clock. It is 7 p.m. right here in Texas as we work through the Revved Up Sports Show on National Texas Day. That really is a thing. So much news we talked about. Mobile International Speedway's coming back, 105 Speedway under new guidance, and I really, really like what those guys are doing. I really like their philosophy right there. On the hotline, big things are happening, and we have the one and only, it's the Whipmeister, Phil Whipple. How you doing, brother?
Hey, I'm doing very, very well. Good evening, Mr. Rodriguez, and good evening, Mr. Chaffee, calling in from snow country up here in the great state of Maine. Nice to be back with you boys again.
Phil, it snowed here January 4th or 10th, one of the days, I can't remember, and we just went apeshit. and I think you kind of messaged me and said, big deal. Big deal.
Well, yeah, what gets you guys excited down there for white stuff is a little different than what it takes to get us revved up. We've had what you call a pansy-ass winter here so far in central Maine. It's really twice we had, 8 to 10 inches of snow, and then it warmed right up and rained and blocked it right out. And so really, as we speak, 80% of my property is showing. The grass is showing, the ground is showing. But that, my friends, is about to change tonight because our first bona fide nor'easter is rolling in, as you guys have seen on the national weather. Rodney, I know you're a weather junkie. You've seen on Weather Nation, Weather Channel, and so forth. The mighty nor'easter is rolling up here into New England, and we're going to get the real McCoy tonight and tomorrow, I guess. So Whippy's going to get a chance to get on the business end of his snowblower and his shovel come tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow evening, and maybe again Wednesday morning some to get the time we get it all cleaned up. But hey, it's cool. It's February. Storms are getting ramped up. It's New England. What the hell would we expect, right?
I love it.
All right, well, Phil, obviously we had a lot of success there with the promoter of the year with us working in tandem with Race on Texas to have that program going, and there was a nice committee going for that. But it sounds like pulling off the success of that, there's another big-time program that's going to come up here to talk about racers in this great state of Texas, as we know. So tell us about this program that you're debuting to the world tonight.
Oh, thank you, Bobby. I will, and I'm just as excited about this one, if not more so, than what you guys did with Promoter of the Year. I really felt it was time to recognize another group, the main group, the people that entertain us. I really think it's time that you good folks at Revved Up Sports and also our media partners at raceontexas.com start off here in 2021 by having a Texas Short Track Driver of the Year award. That's right, guys. So you're all going to be competing for Driver of the Year award this year, every year, each and every year from this year forward in 2 categories, one for weekly point chasers and one for touring series drivers. Also, I want to announce to people, keep in mind, guys, as you do these interviews and stuff this year, it won't just be your on-track performance. That'll be a big part of it, but we're going to look for criteria at your skills at interacting with the media this year, too, since y'all are starting to do quite a few more interviews and stuff now. This sport is really evolving and growing down there in Texas. So what do you think, boys? Do you think it's time we recognize these gentlemen?
Oh, absolutely. And Phil, I think one of the things that you're talking about there, Bobby and I talked to so many youngsters, whippersnappers, the whip thing there, but we talked to so many young drivers, and the media aspect is so important. I mean, you have to, you don't have to speak the best, you don't have to speak totally good, but the thing is, you have to have that persona right there, because that's a thing that could really take you to a different level.
Oh, exactly. It's key today if you're going to, even hell, if you're going to be in tuners or sport compacts for 20 years, you have to speak, right? Eventually you're going to have even Joe's Grill on the car or Uncle Bob's Auto Service or something on the rig. And it would be nice if occasionally, if you're on a podium or something, you could actually thank them and speak and articulate a little about your car and about your program and some of the people who help you get to the track each week and stuff. It's just critical. It's a part of advancing the package, the whole racing program, getting these guys to kind of step up and emphasizing the importance of that media friendliness, if you will, at all levels. Sure, it's hobby level racing for most of them boys down there, but it doesn't mean that you don't have these media opportunities and can really kind of take advantage of them. When you have someone, whether it's a writer with a recorder or somebody with a PA and a microphone, take advantage of those opportunities and thank some people and speak and tell folks where you come from and how you got to this point. I just think it's a critical part, and I thought it should maybe, for the first time when we introduce this award, to add it to our criteria.
Yeah.
Phil, I know this is an open-ended question, but why is that so hard for racers? Like Rodney and I know, we tell people all the time, like, you're just having a conversation with us. Don't worry about the grandstand full of people. You're just having a conversation with us. Why is that so hard for these young drivers or drivers alike to just comprehend it? Why did they just get so clammed up and don't want to say anything when we put the microphone in front of their face?
Well, it's a lot like the stick and ball athletes that I worked with for years at the paper, too. They have just this kind of, they're focused individuals. And at the time we speak with them, keep in mind, they've kind of been just focused on what they've been doing. And most of them are blue-collar people, and they're sort of shy anyway. And 90% of their professions does not involve in speaking to any sort of a crowd or any of that kind of thing. And so they're not well-versed at addressing a crowd, and they tend to get a little nervous. And so, man, a microphone's in front of them. And hell, when I interview people, just and tell them I'm recording stuff for a phone interview for a story I'm going to write, and I said, now who's going to hear this? What are we going to hear this? Whipple's for the radio? People get kind of nervous with that stuff. They're not always at ease with live or media on the microphone stuff. And so, good question, Bobby. I wished I knew. It's just, I think the general population is comfortable one-on-one, but when it comes to speaking to the masses, they're worried they're going to say the wrong thing or forget to say the right thing or something. So I think it's just a natural nervousness, my friend. Yeah.
And so, Phil, I was thinking about this, and I mean, I don't know exactly how we'll structure it, but so for the folks, I mean, obviously, you know, I was saying on the video I posted earlier, we want folks' involvement with this. I mean, obviously there's going to be a way to determine whatever. Yes, wins on the racetrack definitely count and everything else. But your thoughts on for folks to nominate folks, or to you know, maybe as we talk on this show, maybe friends need to say, you know, so and so is a great candidate, or with race on stuff. What do you think about that? Because we definitely want to get the input from the people that watch them race. We can't be everywhere. I mean, we can't be at every track. But to get everyone involved, what do you think is the best way to do that?
Oh, I think it's very key to get the fan input. That's a great topic, Rodney. What I'm thinking is the three of us, you and I and Chris, as we come up with short lists, as we look at on-track performance and the criteria, the media friendliness, I think at that point we present the short list, those who the high achievers, if you will, to the fans, and then we say these are the ones we're looking at. These are who have made the short list, or the Sweet 16, if you will, sort of like in what we do with the Hall of Fames up in the North Country, and let the fans begin to look at those. And I'll pick up the template with some of the numbers and stats and a grading from 1 to 10 on their media friendliness, if you will, and then let the fans take it from there. Would that be maybe a feasible way to get them to interact? It's hard to get, if you open it up to open nominations, hell, we're going to get 500 drivers nominated. And we'll never we throw it and do it. You know what I'm saying? And that's cool. I'm sure there's going to be 500 legit candidates, which is cool. But I almost think in order to, before we elicit the fan input, we may want to come down to a Sweet 16. Just spitballing and shitting here.
We do that. Joyce Shepard's going to put me on the list. I don't even race right now. Anyway, go ahead, Bobby. Sorry.
So Phil, what comes into the whole? We talked about the criteria. We talked about race wins. We talked about the media stuff and all of that. Are we looking for the driver that has that it factor? Like looking for the next generation, the next Jeff Gordon, the next big thing, or are we just trying to look at an overall driver about who's the best right now? Like the snapshot we're looking at, is it the guy that's the best right now, or the guy that's going to be great and kick ass in 5 years?
It's the guy that's the best right now. The quickest analogy I'll make is because I interviewed him for a feature to finish up my first year of doing this stuff down there. Remember, you guys can back me up. I think he won 17 features combined in a couple of divisions. Remember a couple of years ago, Anthony Gordon went on a roll down there at Rodney? Yep. And I would have, for example, banged both fists down and said, if you guys don't give it to Anthony Gordon this year, something wrong. Because I'm not looking for domination within a particular field. Like a guy that's, say, if somebody wins 80% of Cody Harder's race, man, that's a legitimate candidate. Or somebody, one of them dwarf guy goes out and stomps, 70% of the field. Or Jason Bad on the weekly stuff goes out, and Steve Sims, any of those people. I like to just who's the man right now as far as putting up numbers, and they'll have a bunch of guys with real good heavy duty numbers. Then we'll have to that's when that media friendliness thing comes in too, to kind of separate the men from the boys part. But I'm thinking numbers and who's the man on a year-to-year basis, Bobby, if I could answer that.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. And I think the thing to think about, Phil, for folks is, yes, we'll have the weekly, and then we have the touring. I mean, because there's so much that happens here. So there's lots of opportunities here for folks to really showcase, and we're going to reward them. I mean, we're not just going to say, yeah, you're the driver of the year. I mean, we're going to do something cool.
Oh, we're going to have a plaque, and we're going to have a presentation and photo op, just like what we did with Promoter of the Year. This will be of no less value and no less splash and fanfare. Hell, if anything, it should be bigger because of the volume of candidates that we're going to have here. We're going to have a lot of guys around that vast state of Texas, so they're going to put up good numbers at 105. And by the way, listen to those guys at the plant. What they're doing at 105 is pretty moving and inspiring.
Isn't that cool?
They're part of that resurgence I talk to you guys about all the time, and how people are getting shit together, and promoters are really stepping up down there. But at various tracks around, you'll have guys rise up, and so that's kind of what we look at. It should be interesting.
I agree.
So, Phil, you led into that little bit of my next question in terms of you've been around for a little over a year now trying to see it. Have you noticed the scape and the scope of Texas racing changing? Is it just Rodney and I just feeling like it's moving up in a more positive direction? Maybe because of the COVID and everybody wants the will to race now, but it seems as though despite the pandemic in 2020, it feels like there's a good positive momentum building here for 2021 and beyond, even into 2022.
No, you're not the only ones. I touched on it a little bit, and now I'm ready to speak about it more, about this resurgence, because keep in mind, I'm kind of starting my third year. 2019 is when I kind of got introduced to the thing. Then last year, what I saw was promoters being forced to, or at least having the smart to get together and work together and start that cohesiveness to resurrect the sport because of the pandemic. They knew they kind of had to buckle down and do certain things to kind of adapt and survive. Now they're taking that cooperative theme, that theme spirit of cooperation to another level. You heard what a neat deal it was to hear Owen say that, well, Whitaker put up his schedule. He wasn't really too cordial, but he threw it up, and here's what I got for dates. And then me and Johnny Torres sat down, and we had a good talk, and this is what we worked out for our tracks. I mean, you're beginning to see guys really realize the value of working together and stuff. So that's why, yes, it is coming around. The promoters are working together. They're not scheduling on top of one another, stepping on each other's ding-dong, and they're listening to fans and getting input. They're fixing up the grandstands. They're checking on things. They're asking what needs to be improved with our infrastructure. Maybe if we got way too many classes, too much redundancy in our classes, could we possibly cut a couple out and shorten the evening's program down a little bit, or just refining the product? It's all about refining the product, and I'm seeing a lot of refining going on down there now, and that's why I'm so jacked to be a part of that whole Texas short track scene. That and holy cow, what Chris and Gary are doing with Race on Texas and what they're getting ready to announce and the new graphics and stuff they're doing with Speed Pass. Mm-hmm. It's kind of an exciting time, if you hadn't noticed, listeners to this show, an exciting time to be a short track fan in the state of Texas. Am I right?
This is it's a real deal, and I really think that with what Gina's doing, and again, you've kind of been on the listening end of all of that, and really nice stuff coming out. But so your thoughts on that? I mean, I was telling Bobby earlier, and when we were talking to Gina, I mean, to me, what I really see with that is you've got Texas. I think of it as a shopping mall. You got this big old long shopping mall across the Gulf Coast, and you got Texas as the, I don't know what an anchor store would be, and then you go all the way into Florida. I think it's a great opportunity to resurrect a great place and at the same time strengthen what's happening around here.
Exactly. You see, Five Flags, Brian and them guys had to carry the ball down there in the deep south and the southeastern corner of the country for a long while. And in Houston, Gina built up Houston, but there was a missing in the gap. You could draw a straight line between little Gina's place and over to Brian's place, but there was a kind of a big missing void in the middle. Well, now with her acquisition of Mobile and working with Miss Ida and resurrecting that place, that whole line is complete. That straight string across there on Route 10, now that's all complete. So the travel options the cross-pollination between drivers and divisions and stuff. Now, not just Texas is going to be back on the radar screen, but all that deep south region with the potential for Gulf Coast Series and on, and trucks and the mods and stuff. You wait. We think we've had it going on strong up here in the Northeast for a long time, and we have. We're very spoiled. It's about to kind of get revived and really kicked in the butt down there in the deep south, too, because of what Gina's doing and how she reaches out to the racers, gets into the community, talks with Tim Bryant. It's nice, buddy, to see not only what them kids are doing with 105 in the Houston area, but to see how that whole straight line across Route 10, back and forth, it's all kind of getting revived and brought back to life. You, as an old asphalt guy, Rodney, must be damn happy to see it all coming back to life.
Hey, why'd you call me an old asshole? I'm not that old. But and actually, 105 kind of falls into that too. I mean, because that's right there. I mean, somebody had said 45 minutes between the two. I mean, you put that right in there too. I mean, because there's dirt tracks scattered in there as well. I mean, I really think so. So Phil, you might have to move along this path here at some point.
Yeah, I'm going to have to reside somewhere along that path. And I want to say I'm going to back it when it comes to trying to leverage Gina and Owen and all of them to begin. That's the next step. You guys are talking about this evolution and this growth and this popularity and this resurgence. The next goddamn step is when the promoters realize you got to take the factory stocks and put them on the asphalt. And you got to cross over from dirt and pavement. You got to start bringing the crowds back and forth between the tracks and start doing a little cross marketing in there. It's almost they've ever done everything but talk about it and then try to execute it. So that's the next step. That's what I want to run by you guys. Isn't that coming? Maybe not in 2021, but maybe in 2022. Isn't that kind of the next step? Is to start crossing over some of them racers a little bit. Well, I know you got to adjust some carburation and tires, but that's the thing I want to see, Rodney, is dirt factory stocks, the way they've evolved. Put them bad boys on the asphalt, and then take some asphalt cars on dirt, and then we're going to have a show.
You want me to send you the rules that I have already written for all that? Yes.
Rick, are you that far ahead? Are you that far ahead of me on that? Yes, please do.
Yes, yes. And okay. Stay tuned. Stay tuned, because maybe before too long, along that topic, we can play. But that's to come. So anyway, okay. Sorry, Bobby, I jumped on you again. Go ahead, man.
So, Phil, we talked about this local short track stuff, and we talked about it being strong here, talked about it being strong up in the Northeast in your neck of the snow-covered woods up there. Does the rising tide raise all boats? Is this local stuff? Is the fact that you got the Cup Series seems to be on the upswing with higher ratings and stuff like that? Does the fact that does it sell on Sunday? Does it make it sell on Saturday night? I mean, is it that kind of aspect? We talked about manufacturers and sponsors getting their return on investment was, win on Sunday, sell on Monday. But is it a successful Saturday night lead to a successful Sunday afternoon?
Man, it's hard to explain the correlation. You're onto something. There's a correlation there. For a while, from 2015 to 19, I attributed some of the growth in short track racing, the repopularization, the rejuvenation of short track racing, to my age bracket losing interest in super speedway racing and going back to the following short track and saying that piss on the super speedway, follow the leader, mile and a half stuff. We're done with that shit. We don't even recognize half the kids racing today. We're done with that stuff. I'll go ahead and say it on the record now. I'm no longer a NASCAR fan. I haven't been for 2 or 3 years. I don't watch a NASCAR race in its entirety anymore because it's NASCAR. It puts me immediately to sleep no matter what mood I'm in. And so I'm not interested in it. I'm a short track racing fan now, and that's all I'm into. And so for a long time, I felt we really gained in short track racing because of, there again, old fats like myself. We got sick of NASCAR, and we came back to the short tracks where there's actually some side-by-side racing and some entertainment value. But also, it's growing, too, for another reason. They're still tied in. As NASCAR kind of rejuvenates, Bobby, and grows back up, yes, there'll be some of those people who are short track people, too, and that may jazz them back up. But I almost think it's a different demographic these days.
Yeah. So Phil, along those lines, Chase Elliott, being the people's champion, whatever they want to call him, does he, obviously when he goes to Snowball, it's a big deal. I mean, it's a big deal, but I mean, he's run those cars before. But him going to race midgets, he goes to Chili Bowl, and we see he's going to be racing this weekend in Florida, back in those cars again, racing 24 hours at Le Mans or of Daytona. A champion like that's going to get back out and maybe get back to the grassroots and show up in places. Do you think that's something that maybe can pull some of us old timers back in?
No, I think all it does is increase ticket sales among fringe fans who aren't really short track fans, but they'll go because they've seen Chase Elliott on TV on Sunday. but I don't think it's gonna. No, it with me anyway. I guess I'm just speaking from my own perspective.
Sure.
It ain't gonna draw me back. I mean, I think it's great that he's willing to go do that stuff. But you and I both know it's mostly for appearance money, and just because he used to run those cars and happened to get some enjoyment and have some success at it. But as far as we tried that shit with a 250 for a while, having NASCAR guys come, and after a while, it alienates the regular guys because
It does.
they know they can't compete with the equipment they bring in,
It
or the
does.
cars they're in. And
Yep.
so it draws, and the people, the fans who support the local guys say, "Oh, we got to go run against the 250 against Kevin Havoc and Kyle Busch again." So
Yep.
it's
Great point.
there's mixed feelings about bringing NASCAR guys in. The promoters love it because it sells tickets like mad, and the people who support the local guys say, "Oh, we got to compete against them guys again." So
Mm-hmm.
it's a mixed bag,
Yeah, great point. Great point.
But isn't that the nature of the beast, Phil? I mean, the promoters want to have the grandstands as full as they can. So if they see the guy on some of the fans that are in there on Saturday night can't afford the ticket, or it's too far to go on Sunday. So bringing the Sunday drivers into the Saturday night shows, or the big, the snowball derbies, the Oxford 250s, and stuff along those lines. I mean, as a promoter, isn't that what the promoter's supposed to do? Put as many asses in the seats as he can?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it is. It is, and they have to resort to all kinds of things to do that, buddy. You're right. But I'm not. There's just consequences to some of the things that they do to do that.
Yeah.
That's the biggest crowd during the Bill Ryan Jr. era at Oxford. That's absolutely the biggest crowd that was at Oxford since the Bob Bear peak era. Probably is when he had Harvick and Bush and all them boys and Kenseth and all them guys come up here and run. It was a big deal for sure. I can't down it totally, but it also does alienate some others. And after a while, I mean, some of them races are like the Derby is more of a big time race, but the Oxford 250 is like the people's race. That's everything's in one day. By the way, I need to emphasize that to maybe Southern listeners. When we were on the Oxford 250, we practice in the morning, qualify in the afternoon, and run the damn 250 Sunday night. That's still to this day the richest single day non-NASCAR short track race in the country. And it pays $25,000 to win, by the way. And if you lead every lap, you can walk out of there with $50,000 from here at Redneck State of Maine. That's quite an event for a one-day Sunday gig. And so I hope that some of your Southern listeners eventually, maybe when they retire or have a chance to get out of Texas and come up north, that they put the Oxford 250 on their bucket list because, mister, that's a hell of a race.
It's definitely on mine. It is definitely on mine. There was a novel concept, and again, I'll get back to the topic at hand here. There wasn't. It used to be, Bobby. You remember this? What they used to do, like with San Antonio, they would bring in. I remember they brought in Rusty Wallace, Terry Labonte, brought in Ernie Irvin, all these guys. They would bring them in to race, but they stuck them in these guys' late models. And Terry Labonte talked about it on our show where he drove the first car, and he's like, "No. This one ain't worth shit. I got to have a better car." So I mean, I think that's the stuff that you do. I mean, again, it's hard to do it now, but that's the way to tackle that. Then have them bring their own stuff in. Kyle Busch is shutting his stuff down because it's getting too expensive. I mean, so that'd be the way to do it. Or bring them in to sign autographs. Maybe that's the way you do. You do the olive branch for that.
Yeah, there's workarounds, buddy. There's always a workaround, and I think on a lot of occasions, they have climbed into local equipment. Not everybody has brought stuff in. I forgot it was Kyle or Harvick at one time came, and they were going to run the ACT race on Saturday night and then the 250 Sunday, and they brought a brand new from the ground up rig for both deals. And that's when people looked and said, "Holy shit, we can't compete with that stuff." But no, you're right. Putting them in a local car is kind of the answer. But no, I tell you, I got to get back to your deal, Bobby. The resurgence is very real, and it's very encouraging, buddy. You've been more in touch with that scene than I have, much longer. So do you see it too, Bobby? Can I ask you that? Do you see it too, Bobby? What do you see? What do you think about the potential of that crossover between dirt and pavement? You think that's going to take off if it happens? Your buddy Rodney's pushing it. So if it happens, Bobby, is it going to take off? Well, he's going to push it till the earth or the cows come home.
No
is
pressure.
It going to happen, Bobby, when it goes?
I think it's already in progress. I've noticed it a lot, like just in this first week or so, or the last week or so, when you've had some of the dirt races on MAV TV, there are hardcore asphalt people that I know have been watching that. And I don't know if it's because it's been on Facebook, because of the way that MAV TV is trying to transition their product to be more self-aware of their live racing stuff. But I've noticed it since the Chili Bowl, where you've got, hardcore asphalt people watching the dirt stuff. I'm interested to see it next week when we get into Speed Weeks in Florida at New Smyrna, how many of the dirt track people that I know will be trying to watch that stuff on the NBC Sports Gold package. So I'll be surprised to see the crossover, but I have seen it more and more where you see the people on Saturday night paying attention to the people on Sunday afternoon. And I don't know if it's because the mile and a half program is better like it was. Is it because of all these new tracks they're adding in 2022, or 2021, it just feels like there's more of a crossover now between short track racing and cup racing, more so than there is still between dirt and asphalt. Although all of it is starting to close up a little bit, and everybody's just becoming a race fan again.
It is. You're right. Race fan is a race fan, like a rose is a rose. I understand what you're saying, and I think it's right. We're all kind of becoming one group, and that's fine. We'll all keep it healthy. Now that dirt world on the bigger tracks, that dirt nationals thing at Bristol, that's going to be quite a focal point for dirt racing, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that's going to be better than the NASCAR thing. I mean, I think. They might both be shit shows. I don't know. Depending. The Dirt Nationals is going to help the Cup thing because we were talking on the Saturday show where it gives them an opportunity to have the track ready. But I don't know. Yeah, I'm still. I love it being on a big stage like that. But man, I like the Lucas Oil late models. I like all of that stuff. But again, I'm a short track guy. So, but I'm a big track guy too. So I don't know. The good thing is, Phil, that there's plenty of it. Hell, I enjoyed the race yesterday. I had never really watched a lot of sports car racing, but man, I dug into that Saturday 24 Hours Daytona, and hell, that was great. I loved it.
That, is the second most prestigious endurance event in the world, buddy, right behind Le Mans. That's
Absolutely.
a hell of an event. You can get consumed by that thing. And look at what the folks, by the way, at Corvette race team did. Wasn't it like for the first time since the late Dale Sr. won in 01 in the three car, the number 3, the famous number 3 Corvette was back and it's been, I think, in GTLM or something. There's a lot of great storylines out of Rolex this year, and that's just an incredible deal. If you're a sports car fanatic, the Rolex is just huge. And so, yeah, it's wicked, buddy. I'm sorry to digress, but I want to thank you, Rodney, and I want to, if Mr. Chris David is listening this evening or has a chance to listen soon on archive, I want to thank both of you for your willingness to go with this Driver of the Year program, because I really think we've seen in just my few years of watching this sport down there, we've seen some really exemplary. Anthony Gordon was just one of them a couple of years ago. Some exemplary performances. Hale Westover puts up the wicked numbers. Kemp, Whitehead, all them guys. Neil Kemp is a guy I'm getting ready to interview later tonight, by the way. There's guys that have put up some tremendous numbers, and I think it's time to start recognizing Driver of the Year. And thank you again, Rodney, for your willingness to do that.
Absolutely, man. There are so many people that are worthy of that. And again, it's going to be the weekly and then the touring. So we'll talk about that as the year goes on. But Phil, thank you. For being a part of Texas racing, especially being not being here. Not being here. So thank you so much. Thank you for all the brainstorming and so forth and the advice, man. Much appreciated.
Oh, it is my pleasure, buddy. Thank you again, Bobby. Thank you for your time. Pleasure to speak with both of you gentlemen tonight. I'm sure we'll have a chance to chat again as we get closer to the season openers.
Absolutely, my man. Stay, I guess, warm.
I'm not sure, warm, man. I'm not sure warm. It's going to get wickedly nasty up there, apparently.
Yeah, it's going to be a little nasty. When I get out from under the snow drift, I shall touch base.
Right on, man. All right, buddy. Take care. Looking forward to it.
All right. Thank you, boys. Good night now.
You bet. There he is, Phil Whipple. Lots of energy. Love the way he talks. Tells it like it is. Just tells it like it is.
He talks so fast. We always talk about Texans talking fast, but boy, for a Yankee, he can put the words together pretty fast. But he's a good dude, man. He's done a lot of good stuff for Texas racing, kind of behind the radar, behind the scenes. So
yeah.
With a lot of his in-depth interviews and stuff like that. We should have told him Big Money Neil Kemp has been on this show before.
Yeah.
And so he could go back and listen to the archive before he has him on, but.
RevvedUpSportsShow.com. I'm sure he's probably found it. Before we get out of here, Texas Motor Speedway Dirt Track, 18 race dates there that they're going to be pulling off there, and a really intriguing announcement with all of that. And like we were talking about, Bobby, I think that kind of that really makes, because we wondered about them giving up the spring race, obviously, which is coming to Coda. Well, not that race, but the date. The date, and then you got the All-Star race in June, but it's really kind of starting to make a little bit of sense right there as the transition over right there. And again, that's where you see the influx. And that right there tells me where the short track appeal is really digging in, where, that's a great spot right there. That's a great facility where Eddie Gossage and the XR folks, they're going to dig in. They're putting on 18 races, and I don't know. What do you think? Some of those are on the weekend. You're going to cap it off with the Crown Jewel and all that for the super late models, and the Revival is February 18th through the 20th. But man, that's a Monday series. Your thoughts on that?
I think it's going to be a little harder to draw fans than what they think on the Monday show. I think there's only with the racing that's up there. Obviously, you're going to have we talked about with Phil the difference between your short trackers and your cup followers. There's racing up there, and you race Friday night up there at multiple racetracks in that region. When I say region, all the way over from RPM over to Boyd, they're in Boyd, and so there's a ton of racing there on Saturday night. There's not a whole lot of racing on Sunday, but you can get your racers there on Monday. Those guys are going to show up. I just am concerned about the fans because it's that's the start of a new week. That's the kids are back in school, stuff like that. You can't stay out real late. So the Monday day part of it being on there. It's kind of like doing a Monday show. You had to find the right day to do the show.
Yeah, they've done a good job, trying to avoid. And again, I do applaud them for trying to not step on. And again, now that right there is a big step right there, because we've seen in the past, we've talked about tracks trying to get along and trying to schedule accordingly to where they're not on top of each other. And we've seen big events that come up. And you remember back, for a lot of years, folks would complain about NASCAR running on Saturday nights on top of short tracks. But it is a good concept. But it is going to be tough. It is going to be tough, and I don't know, exactly with everything that they have scheduled there. They've got great classes that are going to line up to be a part of this Monday series. But man, that's going to be a tough get. I think that's going to be tough. But they will have the streaming option that we keep talking about. Back to that again.
Well, if you can get the streaming dollars in, I mean, if the stream costs as much to get the stream as it does for a seat in the grandstands, I guess, does it matter, right? Whether they watch it at home or watch it in the grandstands?
Beer's cheaper at home, I can tell you that. That's the one thing that I've noticed watching all these different, dirt events going on around. I'm like, man, it'd be really neat to be there, but the beer's a hell of a lot cheaper here, and it's right there. And the bathroom's right there, too.
Yeah, it's right across the door there,
So if you're joining us late, what you have missed, let's go back here and recap everything. Mobile International Speedway is coming back. We talked to Gina Shile-Knowles right at the beginning of the program, which was 6 o'clock tonight, just tonight. Well, but with the response, maybe not just tonight, but 6 o'clock, and Mobile coming back, a limited schedule. Look for a press release coming out tomorrow, and then forthcoming will be the classes and everything right there. But a huge opportunity there for Gina and the team to revive one of those. I always say hallowed grounds. I mean, that's one of those right there.
That works.
That's a great place.
That works.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's super big. I think that's super big for her.
I think it's a challenge going to be for her,
for sure.
Especially with all the challenging moments she's got in Houston. It looks like the way the schedule shakes out, potentially, just like I said, setting up some gaps and looking at some different schedules, it's going to be pretty rough. It's going to be a rough 8 to 9 weeks there, right in the middle of the heart of the summer.
Yeah.
If anybody can do it, Gina can. She'll assemble the right people around there and have the right people in the right spots, just like she has set up in Houston. So I think that I think it's a step in the right direction towards expanding her vision and her vision of wanting, bigger shows in Houston. That's how you make that stuff happen. You do the bigger shows closer to home, and then that gets the guys more aware of Houston, and that runs a chance of getting the races in Houston that everybody wants to see.
Yeah, it really is. It ties it all together. I mean, I think that's really the thing to come out of this. And then we talked to 105 Speedway, Chris Brown and Joey Smith jumping on here, to taking over operations management and race director duties and all of that. And just to hear the energy of these guys and just the we talk about racers, past racers, current racers, whatever, being the best promoter, the best operators, and I think that we are on that path once again with these guys at 105, because as you talked about, Bobby, just so many great memories, great events that have come out of 105, and these guys, they've got the Texas Grand under their belt, and I just think that they're going to go about this in a way very methodically with that big pot of gold. And when I say pot of gold, the big end result at the end, where they're going to do this. They're going to listen to their racers. They're going to listen to their fans. They're already doing this. And I think that, man, Houston is on a really good path when it comes to everything other than baseball and football.
Yeah, well, I mean, think about the track of 105 was in existence when these guys took it over. So It's not like they had to start from scratch like somebody would have to do with Battleground. So that's a good thing. that, and granted, it's not in Metro Houston. It's going to take a little bit of a drive to get there, but some of the best racetracks aren't in the middle of, in the middle of metropolitan areas because you can't have racetracks in the middle of metropolitan areas anymore. So, it's good to see. It's good to see the energy behind all these racetracks, whether it be Houston, at HMP, whether it be 105 Speedway, whether it will be, Mobile, Pensacola. The energy behind these racetracks is infectious. And I think that's one of those things that will make everything rock and roll into a really solid 2021.
And the thing about it is, I mean, I think that seeing this coming off a pandemic, or not off, but during a pandemic, and then off of the 2020 that we just went through, I think that that it's really it's a fascinating story that's developing. And so speaking, somebody had asked me earlier about Southern Super Series. So that schedule, I mean, that came out a while back. So you got March 12th through the 14th is a Rattler. So you'll have that at South Alabama. April 10th is Greenville Pickens. May 8th is the Fairgrounds. So that's awesome. On June the 4th, you're going to have Blizzard Race Series number 1 at Five Flags. The next day, you'll go to Montgomery. On the where are we at here? The 26th is an open date. 26th is an open date, which that could factor into something that we were talking about today, maybe.
Could. You never know. Like I said, if you look at some of the different series, the way that the series schedule lines up with other open dates on the schedule, you never know.
23rd and the 24th, you've got Blizzard Series 2 and 3. That's obviously at Five Flags. On the 14th of August, you go to Crisp on the 9/11. That is to be announced. So, again, don't know what might happen there. On 10/2, you're back at Five Flags for Blizzard Series number 4. And then the 29th and the 31st of October, obviously you end it there with the All-American 400 at Fairground Speedway. So a very, very good schedule right there. I think one of the challenges, Bobby, did you see today, and we'll button this thing up here in just a second, I saw that the Cars Tour is actually offering some bonus money in their prolates for the crate engine package, where they're gonna bonus you for running a crate.
That's odd. That's usually not, unless there's a sponsor. You just get the bonus money for running the GM crates back in the day there, San Antonio Speedway, because if you bought it from a dealer, you got money from that dealership through the performance program purchase. But I don't know. There was some loyalty stuff announced today. We should have asked Phil about this. Now I think about it, with the way the Pass North was going to reward some of their touring series drivers. So that would be a lot of fun to look at. I think some of these different concepts will come to pass. No pun intended.
Yeah, and this is actually from CarsTour.com, released today. 5 select races competitors with sealed crate engines will have an opportunity to earn extra bonus money in Cars Super Late Model. So, correct myself there. Cars Super Late Model events on the 2020 schedule. The Cash for Crates program will be utilized to attract pro late model competitors who want to compete on the 2021 Cars Super Late Model. That's going to be tough right there. That's
a little rough.
That's going to be tough. Top 3 highest finishing sealed crate engines in any position will receive bonuses of $750, $500, and $250, and that's happening at Hickory, Twice, Motor Mile, Tri-County, and South Boston. I hadn't read it that far. That's going to be really hard. That's going to be really hard.
That's going to be a tough challenge. Speaking of tough and challenge, don't forget, guys, we hadn't had a chance to promote it a lot. We are opening up the Russ Fantasy NASCAR League. We know we talked to Phil about some of the different challenges between short track racing and fantasy, or short track racing and cup racing. But fantasy is a lot of fun if you can get involved with it. And pretty good, solid winner device this year.
Absolutely. Our friend Tom McKay over at Audio Visual Consultations. That is just a great when it comes to setting up these theater systems in your house. I mean, if you want a 4TV system, whatever it is that you may want to do, Tom McKay came to us, and he is going to. Right now as we speak, the winner of the Fantasy League in November is going to get themselves a 55-inch 4K smart TV. So that's worth signing up for right there. If you have one, you'll have another one. But, AV Consultations right there, 512-255-8678. We'll have more details on that on the Saturday show as we really begin to start promoting that. But looking to really up the ante right there in that fantasy league and get a bunch of people involved. And Tom actually even told me, he said, you get he gave me a number. You get X amount of people, we'll bump that up to a 65. So it's worth playing. It's worth your time Take the 10 minutes to set your lineup, and hell, you may walk away with a smart TV. Ain't nothing wrong with that.
Actually, I don't think it take 10 minutes. You just sometimes got to sit there and guess at it and pop it in there and go with it. So
Yeah.
even a rookie can actually try to come out and win. So
I mean, I see people win those racing fantasy leagues that don't even know anything about racing. So, I mean, you never know. You never know. And if you go to on this page, on the Revved Up Sports Show page on Facebook, there's detailed instructions there for you to sign up. I mean, you have to create an account, but once you do that, you join the league. It's Crank It Up. You'll see it and be a part of it. I think it'd be a lot of fun and bragging rights.
yeah, definitely bragging rights for all of our wonderful fans.
Absolutely. Great program. Great, great numbers, folks watching this, and pretty historic night here. We hear some good stuff about Mobile and 105, and man, this has been a fun show that we threw together and had to start early. Nothing wrong with that.
Nah, it happens. A little bit early is not a bad thing. People got a little bit of time to go now and go enjoy their dinner.
When you got stuff happening that you have to start early, that's a good thing. That's
definitely a good thing.
Definitely a historic show on National Texas Day. Hashtag National Texas Day. Hey, friends, enjoy your Super Bowl. If you're having a party, do it smartly. Right? Who you got? Bucks, Chiefs? Is that who's playing?
Yeah, Buccaneers and Chiefs. Give me Tom Brady. Terrific Tom. I think he's just going to pull it off one more time.
I'm with you. Somebody said, this is going to be like Chase Elliott and Jimmy Johnson. He's going to pass the torch. I'm like, bullshit. Tom's not ready to quit.
Tom's not ready to quit.
Yeah, that's not going to be the case. Good stuff. Give us a follow on Twitter and Instagram at RevvedUpATX. Catch all the replays at RevvedUpSportsShow.com, RevvedUpSportsShow.tv, RealRaceTalk.com, and Revved Up Radio. For Bobby, I'm Rodney. Have a great week, friends. Catch you next Monday. It's Revved Up Sports Show.